Welcome. This is Dating IRL, and for those of you who don't know what IRL means, I got a lot of inquiries about that. It means in real life. I'm your host, Kimmy Seltzer, and if you don't know who I am a confidence therapist, an authentic dating strategist, and an image expert. And that's a lot to say, that I help people in a holistic way look and feel their best so that they attract what they want, both from the outside and in. And I am just super excited. Can I just start there? To be here, to be doing the second episode of this show. And I just love the name of this show, and I credit Michelle Murad. Thank you very much. Michelle, she is in the studio. I love you. Woot, woot. Yeah, and she actually came up with this name, and I have to explain what the name means because we are here live in the studio in real life. And there's gonna be things that are gonna happen that's not perfect. In fact, there might not have been some sound when you watched the introduction, but hopefully you can hear me now. But that's life, right? Like that is life. That's what happens even in your dating life, that things don't always go as planned. And when I was going on Michelle's show, Good Day Live, and I kept going on her show, we kept talking about how many people want to meet in real life, yet we're all kind of scrambling, right? People ask, where do I go to meet people? And then once they meet people, a lot of people don't even know what to say, what to do, and how to turn that into a date. And so thus, this show was born. It's revolutionary. It is something that is different, that hasn't been done before, quite honestly, because this is an interactive show. And my hopes is that we are going to build a community with this, where not only am I going to be giving you information, but we're going to be doing things live. I'm going to take it to the streets and ambush people with their style and ask them about their dating lives. We are bringing people into the studio to do coaching with Kimmy segments where I'm going to coach people live. We're going to have other experts come on in. And if that is something that appeals to you, by the way, definitely contact me. Go to datingirl.tv and let me know that you want to be a part of the show. In fact, today, at the end of the show, I am going to showcase a woman who is willing to get a full makeover right here. And so watch all the way through until we kind of show who she is. And then we're bringing her to the studio to do a live makeover. She's single, ready to mingle, yet she needs a little help with her outer confidence. And so if you missed the last show, I just want to kind of recap. Michelle was here with me, and we were kind of bridging her show with mine. And we talked about, just first of all, what I'm all about and what my philosophy is. And we talked about the charisma quotient. And for those of you who are podcast listeners, hello, thank you for watching the show. And I love charisma because charisma is something that is a magnetism that just draws people to you. And there were 3 pillars that I went over within charisma, and that's how you create charisma, because really that's part of attraction. And as I indicated with my red dress story, I'm not going to tell the red dress story again, y'all. I know people are like, I've heard your red dress story so much, but some of you have not. And if you haven't, check out my first episode. You can find it on all the social channels, basically, and at datingirl.tv. And within my story, I was kind of going over how I flip the script and how I help people, because as a therapist, I used to believe that you had to work from the inside out. And trust me, I believe that the inside job is super important. But as I've been talking about on Good Day Live, as I kept coming on here and in all my workshops and on my podcast, that it is really important to also look at the outside. And I think that's really missed a lot, that people focus a lot on working on themselves, but what about the outside job and how you're marketing yourself? So today, in the next few episodes, we're really gonna focus on your style intelligence. And I made up that word because it goes along with the other 2 pillars of emotional intelligence and social intelligence. And what I want to go over today is a little bit about what makes you sexy on the outside, with your first impressions, with your wardrobe, how you market yourself out into the world, because that is super important. Because at the end of the day, you could do all the inside job you want. You could be going to therapy, you could be listening to the podcast, and I so want you listening to my podcast, by the way, but you could be doing a lot of absorption. But at what point do you go into the world and start taking? And so that is what my hopes is also for the show, that it inspires you and that it moves you to act. And I just want to mention, like, I got so many amazing comments from you, obviously friends and family. Mwah, I love you. You all were watching and I felt your support, but also people that I've worked with and so many new people chiming in. And I got some amazing testimonials. I just wanted to read one, and you know, it was actually really kind of near and dear to me. And I don't know, do we have a visual of that testimonial? If not, I'm just gonna read it. It was from a friend of a friend, and you'll know who this is if you are listening. I just have to find it. Where is it? Okay. Oh. No, this is the wrong one. Anyway, I'll come back to that. But basically, what was really moving to me is that she was saying that after watching this, it actually helped her think about how she could be at her dinner party the next day and how she could be with her husband. Here's what I want to say about this too. I know I'm focusing a lot on singles and people who are looking to mingle and find love. But it's also for people who are in relationships. There are different phases in relationships, and you should never stop dating, quite honestly. Everybody should always think of these things to energize not only yourself, but also your partner, if that is what you are in right now. And you know, a lot of times people will come to me and they'll say, Kimmy, find me a man, find me a woman. At the end of the day, you know who they find? They find themselves. And that's probably one of the most powerful things you can do. I'm always reminded of the story when I was coaching this woman, and she said to me exactly that. I always have free breakthrough calls with people, you know, to see just how I can help them. And we were on our first call together, and she said exactly that. She said, Kimmy, help me find me my soulmate. I said, well, I can help you do that, but it might take a little bit of work on yourself. And so what we did together in our coaching really surprised her, because she was so focused on the man and not enough of her. How many of you listening are caretakers who focus on the man, they focus on the woman, but when do you really focus on you? And it's really important that you focus on you, because when you do that, that is when you attract an authentic connection. And so what was really important in this story is that as soon as I got her off of, I have to be perfect for the man, and actually really embracing who she was, she started loving herself. And we started from the outside, and we did all the things that I usually do. We did a makeover, we changed her pictures, we had her go out and about and flirt with men and really have fun in the process. How many of you are having fun dating, by the way? Chat here if you're live. If you're having fun, awesome. If you're not, like, I want you to continue listening to the show, because I want to make dating fun, either again, or if you never had fun, at least now. And so anyway, back to the story. So she was having fun. And because she was letting go of the outcome of finding the man, guess what happened? She remained present. And she actually enjoyed flirting. She enjoyed getting attention from a man. And because of that, her self-esteem grew, her confidence grew, and she was able to be a better picker. And that's the thing, is that when you are not present and you're thinking so much, and here's what I see all the time, is that people are so anxious and worried about who they're attracting and what their life is going to be and what things are going to become. Or they're so bogged down from the past of things that have happened that everybody is not present. And so let go of the past, let go of the future, and focus on now. And so that's what we did. And we focused on the now. And guess what? She was dating up a storm. And she dated up a storm, and guess what happened at the end of the coaching? She found her soulmate. She found the soulmate, and this was the kicker, is that when she did, she came to me on our last session and she said, Kimmy, I am so happy with my life. And I said, that's awesome. Is it because you found your soulmate? She said, well, this is what's so surprising. No, it's not even the man. I mean, I'm happy that I found him, but for the first time, I'm happy with me. And I just remember kind of tearing up and crying with her. And it was just like that self-love, because she realized no matter what happened with this man, and actually he ended up being an amazing partner and they're still together today. She said, I'll never lose myself. It doesn't matter about anything else that happens because I am truly happy with me. So that is the focus of all of these episodes, whether we're flirting on the streets and twirling our hair or whether we're changing our clothes, it is all about you. And with that, let's get into the subject matter today because I'm super excited. We are gonna talk all about makeovers and all about style today. And so here's the thing. And those of you who know me, you know that I talk a lot about first impressions. So I have a question. When you walk in the room and you are looking around, and are you the kind of person that is kind of slow to warm up and you're like, Kimmy, I know that once I get to know someone, once I trust someone, then I'm fine. I can have a conversation, I can go on a date, but you're so slow to warm up that you might be missing opportunity. And maybe it's because you're an introvert. Maybe it's because you're in your head a lot, right? Maybe it's because you're worried about what other people think and feel and not enough of worrying about what you want and just going after it. That's why I love kids. You ever watch kids on the playground? They don't care about what other people think, right? Like 4 or 5-year-old, they're playing on the playground. They see little Johnny in the sandbox, and it's not like Billy's gonna look at Johnny and say, oh, I shouldn't go up to him. He looks really busy. No, they just go up together and say, hey, can I play? So what happened? Why don't we do that anymore? Because that is what's so attractive, when we're playful, when we're present, and not worrying about all that stuff that's in your head. And so that's a big part of that first impression, is not hesitating. It's just going after what you want. And here's the thing. This is the thing that surprises so many people, and it has changed over the years. It only takes 7 seconds to make a first impression. That's all you got. And people are making judgments and assumptions based on 2 things and 2 things solely. This is gonna surprise you, because all of you that are in your head trying to think what the conversation should be, it's not even about that. It's the clothes you're wearing and the attitude that you have. That's it. So what you say isn't even as important as how you say it, your presentation. That's why I love working on the outer confidence. Because again, you could have like a zillion lines in your head. It's not gonna come across as authentic if you're not in your body, you're not feeling it. So with that being said, I wanna focus in the next couple episodes on your clothes and your body language. Because here's the thing, when you wear fabulous clothes that makes you look and feel amazing, you walk a little different. You walk a little taller. You have a click in your step, you know? And I say click because ladies, you need to be wearing heels, okay? I'm just saying, for those of you who don't like heels, you gotta contact me because I always can find something for everybody, and I realize people have like issues with their feet. I do too. But even just having that little bit of lift, it's gonna change the way your legs look, it's gonna change your posture, you're gonna move differently. Like, there is no way you can walk into a room and like with your flip-flops on, feeling sexy. I'm sorry, like you're gonna be shuffling around. I see it all the time. There was this woman, I tell stories a lot, so just so you know. And by the way, if any of you have stories and you wanna come on in and and tell your story, and maybe you have like a scenario you want my help with, again, go to datingirl.tv and just, write me. I would love to have you on the show. We have the capability of being really interactive here in the studio, so I'm super excited about that. Anyway, there was a woman I was working with, and she couldn't wear heels, and she told me this, and she said, I've never dated, I've never kissed a boy. She was 40 years old. She just felt like that little girl who never grew up, and she just didn't have a lot of experience, because at the end of the day too, and I will be talking about this a lot, I believe confidence is just experience. It's not that you're not confident. There's just probably an area in your life, and maybe it's dating, maybe it's flirting, maybe it's walking in a high heel, because you haven't had enough exposure to it. And so how do you get it? You get exposure, you get positive exposure to it, and you get practice. So this woman never wore heels, and I couldn't work with her. I couldn't make her go out into the field and flirt with a man if she wasn't even comfortable in a dress and heels and just having that kind of feminine flair. It was almost like My Fair Lady. Have you guys seen that movie? It was a total My Fair Lady moment. And so we're going shopping, and I said, before we even get clothes, I just want you to get these heels. And I got her heels, and the heels were just like this. They weren't that high. And she said, I don't know how to walk in them. I said, well, how are you gonna know how to walk with them unless you practice? So here's the thing, before we do anything else, buy these heels, and I want you to go home and I want you to wear the heels for 2 weeks, and then we're gonna meet again. And so she did it. And she went home, and I was to meet her, and I'll never forget this, I can still see this today, where I was on the street, and I see in the distance this woman who was kind of walking, she had this little seductive thing going on. I'm oh, there's a pretty woman who has that body confidence, and I look, and as she's getting closer, I realize it's her. And she has this big smile on her face, and she's like, hi, Kimmy. I'm like, who are you? And she's like, well, I did what you said. I practice every single day. I practice in my home. I practice going to the grocery store. She went everywhere in those heels. And because of that, her attitude changed. So you see, when you change your clothes, you change your attitude, and you change the signals that get sent out into the world. And guess what happens? That actually determines how people will perceive you. It'll change the perception of how people will see you. I actually want to go into, so enough of me babbling and talking. I can't stand me talking for too long. So this is where I want a lot of you to kind of chat with me, tell me what's going on. And as I am telling my story or asking questions, at the end, if we have time, I want to leave room for that so that I can answer any of your style or dating questions. But in the meantime, I want to share a really special story with you. And this is a woman that, a couple of years ago, saw me in a flirt workshop, and she decided to take me up on my offer of a free breakthrough call. And on that call, we kind of uncovered a lot of things. And one of the things that we uncovered is that she was in her, late 40s, and she had never dated in her entire life. And part of the reason she hadn't was how she felt about herself. And before going into her entire story, I actually want to show you. So can we show a picture of her before? This is Deirdre. And Deirdre, I know she's actually traveling in Spain right now and having a grand old time. You would never, no, that's not Deirdre. There is a picture of Deirdre sitting in a chair, in a red chair. And so we're gonna show her picture. There she is. Can you see me and Deirdre, or just Deirdre? Just Deirdre. Just Deirdre, okay. As you can see, she is a beautiful woman, yet she always kind of felt like she was a tomboy. She grew up as a tomboy, and when she showed me this picture, and we're gonna show some of the before pictures she had in her profile, she's like, I don't understand. Like, I put these pictures up, I'm online every single day. I mean, I'm dedicated. Like, she just wanted a date. And she was getting no response. And, you know, for those of you who know me, I'm very direct. And I said, you are an amazing person, and we need to fix your advertisement. Because you are not marketing yourself in a way so that a guy can really see you as the sexy Deirdre. And so we had an experience, and can we show a picture of her before profile? I want to show you what I saw. So, and this is common, by the way, because we're focusing on first impressions in this segment. And as you can see, not only did she show the red chair picture, but she was showing herself, you know, with the basketball, and then, you know, this close-up with no makeup, and then with the hat, we can't even see her, right? She's in the dark. And who is that next to her, by the way? Like, who is that? Y'all, if you have pictures of you and somebody from the opposite sex in your profile, get rid of it. Like, because the first thing that I'm thinking is, oh, is that an old boyfriend? Right? Like, we don't know who that is. You have 7 seconds. 7 seconds. People are swiping so fast. And so her advertising was killing her. And here's the mistake. So I said to her, Deirdre, can I just ask you, like, what was going on in your head that made you think of these pictures to post? She's like, well, I want people to know my lifestyle. You know, I want people to know that I love sports. Like, I can't change who I am about that. And so I wanted to show all these, like, different lifestyle shots of me and my interests. Here's the thing, and I want you to really think about this. This is the first thing that people see when they click on your picture. They don't know all these other sides to you. And this is what I told her. I said, one day when you have a boyfriend, you can sit by the fireplace, and you can, like in a scrapbook, you can show him all these cute pictures of you and all the places that you went to. But you're only as good as your worst picture, okay? I'm gonna say that again. You're only as good as your worst picture. And people will look at that bad picture and think that's really the representation of you, and boop, swipe left. That's how fast it goes. And so what was happening is she wasn't advertising the dateable Deirdre. She was just advertising her lifestyle. So this is a kind of a misconception. People want to show others their hobbies, their passions, and that is fine, as long as you look good in it. Like, if she was in a hot red dress sitting in that red chair, I would be okay with that. If she was holding that basketball net, looking all fine and cute, and in her, like, cute little casual clothes with her hair done, then yeah, I would say that would be good. There was this woman, just to make this a point, that I was working with, and she had the same thing going on. Her first picture, by the way, was her in a dress. She had blonde hair, and her hair was like, you know, like gusting in the wind, and she was leaning on the red chair, and it was hot. Like, I know a lot of guys liked it, but here's the thing. I kept swiping, and it kept getting worse and worse and worse, and by the last picture, it was her holding a bowling ball with no makeup on in, like, these ginormous clothes. And I said, this is killing you. Like, all I want you to do, like, we're gonna get you new pictures, but just put the car and this next one in and get rid of all the rest. Let's do an experiment. Let's see if you get more clicks on your pics. And so she did it, and guess what happened? Hundreds of guys started hitting her up. Now, you might be listening to this, and you might be saying, Kimmy, I don't want to change who I am. If a guy or a gal doesn't like me for me, then forget them, because I want someone who loves me for me. But here's what I'm going to say. This is not changing who you are. It's about marketing yourself so that someone gets to know who you are. I'll say it again. It's not changing who you are, but it's about marketing yourself so that someone gets to know who you are. Because no one is going to get to know the amazingness that you are if your advertisement is off. Like if you look at two websites, okay, and one is, okay, they're both the same content. One is updated, one is not. Which one are you gonna click on at first glance? Most people are gonna click on the professionally done one that's new and slick with lots of colors and it looks really professional. Same content, same company, but we are attracted to the updated one. People are no different. I do these workshops, and for those of you who think that this is superficial, I will debunk any of you of the myths of that, because I've been in workshops where I flash pictures and I show a bad picture and women and men say, no, I wouldn't date them. And then I show a good picture and they say, oops, yep, I would date them. It's not that we're superficial. It's just we have like judgments about who people are in the world, and that attraction factor is so huge. And guess what? It's not just how other people think, but it's how you feel and the signals you're sending out to the world. This is what's so important. So cut to, back to Deirdre. We had to do a lot of work, right? And so the first thing that I had to help her see is how beautiful she was. Because really, and you're gonna see a clip of her, and you're gonna see a clip of her at the end of our coaching, because we had an evolution of work together. She said to me, you know, I never in all growing up thought I could be that woman who could walk in the room and own it and be that sexy woman. I never thought that I could wear that dress. And I needed to help her see that not only could she wear the dress, but she could be sexy and she could love who she sees in the mirror. And so that's where we started, because it did us no good to try to like swipe on guys and have conversations and have a dating plan and get back out there until she really felt good in her body. This is the power of the outside in, okay? So we're gonna see a clip of her where she came to one of my dating retreats. And by the way, I have another retreat coming up. For those of you who are interested, just go to datingirl.tv and subscribe, write me if you're interested. It's an exclusive retreat, it's co-ed, and she was ready for it by the time that we did this back in December, because she was feeling so great. And she started dating up a storm and doing like the most amazing thing. So I'll let you listen to the clip, and then we're gonna come back and show you what happened.
I originally met Kimmy because she did an online flirting workshop on Facebook that I joined and did because I was at a state of my own life of spending a lot of 2020 working on myself. As a part of that online session, she offered like a free call with her or something to that effect, right? And so I took that opportunity to just chat with her and talk to her. And then I've actually been working with her ever since. So for me, this event's kind of like the end of my time with her, right? And so I think that for me, it's really been powerful and emotional to just learn about being more confident in myself, more understanding of my body, my femininity, some of that kind of stuff that I just didn't have before. I freely admit it. I was a person who didn't really love myself a whole lot. And so just the amazing, like, I just feel like everything she preaches and teaches has done so much for me to just understand that better and to come into my own with understanding that I can be sexy and that I can have value. My entire life has been all about just growing the career. And so knowing that I have the ability to be somebody other than the boss at work is super powerful for me. She took me shopping online and like, you should be wearing this. And I'm like, wait, no, I shouldn't. What are you talking about? And I think a lot of that comes back to those of us that are larger. We've always been told one thing about how we should dress and what we should be wearing, and that's what stores sell for the most part. And she just was flat out, no. She goes, throw it all away. She goes, you have no business wearing that. She goes, there is no reason you can't wear skinny jeans. There's no reason why you can't have on a leather coat, etc. I'm still working on the tighter shirts. The transformation in what I look like from what I looked like before is tremendous. So, and it's all credit to her, in my opinion. So.
Gosh, I mean, every time I see that, and I texted her actually earlier today, I get a little teary-eyed, and I do that a lot with my clients because it's amazing when you go through a transformation and how knowing that you have the power to change your life. It's just amazing. There's no price tag for that. I always tell people there's no price tag to happiness, and what shows up in one area of your life leaks into others. And so that's what happened to her, is that this wasn't just about capturing the man. It was a way of being. It was a way of interacting with the world. She said her interactions with her friends deepened, learning how to be vulnerable and putting herself out there. There were so many things that changed in her life, and she made some major shifts in her life. I mean, she moved, she got new friends, she started doing wing gal sessions and getting out. And so I want to show also, after, an evolution of makeovers, and you saw in the segment, the green dress moment that she had. You know how I said in the first episode, for those of you who watched, I said everyone needs a red dress moment. Well, in her case, it was a green dress. Doesn't matter really the color. It's a metaphor to having that epiphany of the moment when you feel it. It's like, I am beautiful. I am sexy. I am attractive. And that green dress did it for her. So then we if we can show her after profile, we fixed her profile. And this is what started happening, why she started dating up a storm. Not only was she moving through life, IRL, in real life, differently, she started practicing talking to men everywhere she went. She had a new set of confidence, and look at how different this profile looks than the before. I mean, it's almost irrecognizable. And the minute she put these after pictures up, all these men started hitting her up. And then she had a new set of problems. Now what do I do? And so now she had to learn the art of conversation, and that'll be in another segment, because all of you are asking me, Kimmy, how do I flirt online? How do I text, this guy so that he asks me out? And there are some tricks, and I'm doing workshops on that. And by the way, for those of you, speaking of workshops, I forgot to mention this. I am doing a workshop coming up April 11th, and it's in my Stop Hating Dating series. It's called Mastering Your First Impression. And again, if you are interested in that, go to datingirl.tv. You can, either email me about it. I'm happy to do it. And I want to offer you a free gift. There is a style guide. If you go to styleguide.tv or you go to that page, you can pick up your style guide so you can learn what body type you are, what clothes flatter your figure, what clothes to stay away from. This is where Deirdre started, And, oh, thank you. Yeah, so we're showing the first impression workshop. And the thing that's so cool about this is it really is interactive. I'm in a Zoom room with you. It's co-ed, and we just get stuff done. We're gonna work on all of this, your wardrobe, your body language, and there's gonna be a series. But for April 11th, this is what we're focusing on. Because again, as you see with all my stories, is that we gotta get you feeling good on the outside. And by the way, you might be also listening to this and say, well, Kimmy, all these women who are being made over, what about the men? Are there any men there? Any men? I do manovers. I do not discriminate, just so you know. And so I want to show you another man who I worked with. And he just, again, his life completely changed. Now, this was years ago. And Paul, if you're out there, I adore you. And I know I didn't get a chance to reach out to you, but I know that you love having me tell your story. You're on my website, kimmyseltzer.com, by the way. And one of the things that was really astounding with Paul, if we can show Paul's picture. This is Paul, good looking guy, amazing guy, and had like zero confidence. And now you might look at him and saying, why does he not have confidence? I mean, again, good looking guy. The age is like perfect. I kept telling him that, like, you could have your pickings of women. Do you know how many women would just love you? Well, he had this limiting belief that he wasn't good enough. And he was also a caretaker. And so he poured all his energy onto other people and not enough of himself. And he just kind of lost himself. And not that he was wearing bad clothes, honestly, like, well, he also wore a uniform to work. So most of the day he was in a uniform. He also like never paid attention to that area. He's like, usually I just rely on women in my life to just, you know, pick out a shirt here and there for me. Man, come clean. Like you know who this is something that I know a lot of you are guilty of. And secretly, I know that men want to learn what looks good, but you're just not going to talk about it with your friends of like, oh, there's a sale at Nordstrom. So I do have a guide for you too. When you go to the styleguide.tv, there's a man's fashion manifesto, and it's going to help you determine your body type. And also I go into grooming tips because like we don't ask for much as women, right, ladies? Like we love a man who's put together and dressed up, but we just want you to trim the nose hairs. Like we're not asking for much, or like, you know, shave that little unibrow thing going on. And I mean, get a manicure, get a manicure. And this is true. And ladies, like kind of, if you're here live, tell men that it's not me. Don't kill the messenger. I am a woman and I react this way too, but sometimes women will react to like one thing on your body and it's like, oh, the greatest guy, but ooh, his fingernails. Ladies, don't we do that? I know we're horrible, but I mean, there's been a lot of dates that almost didn't happen again because of that one thing. There was a woman, she came back, she's like, I had the best date with this guy. He was so awesome, he was funny, he was humorous. I kind of liked his clothes, but oh, his fingernails, I just couldn't get past the fingernails. I said, that's negotiable. That's not a non-negotiable. That's negotiable. Like we can cut his nails and make a huge difference in the way that you're seeing him. Anyway, men, it's super, super important to think about what you put on your body. And so back to Paul, like he just never paid attention to what he put on. And quite honestly, in a lot of ways, like in my story, he was hiding. And so I did what I always do. We go shopping, and we did some shopping therapy. And now the thing that was really interesting and important, and I do with all my clients, that it is important to understand your journey. As a therapist, I do like to sit down and talk about where you've been all the way from the time you've been an embryo up until now, because guess what? There's patterns. There's patterns of how you were in your family system. There's patterns of maybe how you were treated in middle school. And those patterns imprint on us. And we carry them with us like really heavy luggage. Like lugging that thing, and there's no reason to lug that luggage. It's too heavy, it's not, and quite honestly, it's not yours. So if that's you gotta get rid of it. But to let go of that is not easy. And that is exactly what happened with Paul, because he was carrying some major luggage. You know, messages he got growing up, not being good enough. And he was not only not good, he was great enough, and evidenced by like what happened to him. So I wanna share a little segment of him. First of all, after we went shopping, I want to show the after picture first. Can we show the after picture? Because look how hot he was. Paul, you're hot. You are hot. And he also went to one of my retreats after working with him. And we went to one of my favorite designers for men. Am I allowed to say designers on here? John Varvatos, if you're out there and you're listening, like, I have a crush on you. I'm just gonna say that because every time I go shopping with a man, I say, okay, we're going to my boyfriend who is like a designer. I call him my boyfriend, but he's not really my boyfriend. He just does it right, and he really like looks good on a lot of people. So we went to John Varvatos, and this was part of the shopping experience that we did in one of my retreats. And look at him. Like his confidence, and again, I want you to notice that in all of these makeovers, it's not just the clothes that they're wearing, but the attitude in their body. Like the shifts that he makes in the body, just look how comfortable he is. Versus in that first picture, he was like standing kind of stiff. And it's like costume confidence. This is what I was talking about last week. This is not something I'm making up, y'all. Like, you know that when you have, ladies, when you have a good hair day, you know you walk a little taller and you're feeling a little hotter. You know when you walk into a room and you love what you have on your body, you feel more confident. So image does matter. Do you get the point? Anyway, I want to show a little segment on how Paul's life has changed a little bit, and this was just like a little thank you message to me.
Female perspective on us as guys is just truly phenomenal, because a lot of times I think we have so many false perceptions, and we all, men and women, we have these fears. We're all kind of like not getting together and talking with each other because we're afraid of what to say or what to do or whatever. And it's like, once you break the ice and just open things up, it's really not that hard. Kim, as I've said numerous times, and I thought I'd get emotional, but right now I'm not getting emotional because it is a camera and not you. My heartfelt thanks, because I know, well, now I am getting emotional. I know without a doubt that you came into my life at a time when I needed some direction and guidance, and you really helped me to get to where I am now, and I'm not going to stop becoming a better human being and a man and for the people in my life, and I thank you.
Paul, I know you said you weren't going to get emotional, and you did get emotional, and every time I see that, I get emotional. Here's what happened to Paul. He met, and well, he started dating, obviously, and he went through a journey of, different dating, but he actually landed an amazing woman, and they're still together today. It's been years. I want to show a picture of the three of us. I was so excited because he lives on the East Coast, and he actually ended up having her come out and meet me. And it was just this really special moment where I got to have dinner with the three of them. And this happens sometimes. I don't get to see everyone. I've been invited to weddings, which also has been super cool. But to see the progression from that kind of scared man in the dressing room to this confident man with an amazing woman, again, no words, no words. Okay. I have a surprise, well, not surprise, this is part of the show, you all. I've always had a vision of doing live makeovers. From the time that I went through my frumpy period and I went through my own makeover and transformation, I'll never forget sitting and nursing my little boy, watching what not to wear. And this is what inspired me. And I remember looking at the shows and I was like, those people are happy. I want to do that. Like, I want to make people happy, because I had been through such a dark period in my life. And as a therapist, I worked with a lot of sadness, and I just wanted happiness. And I wanted to help people get through the sadness, because sadness is real and we all need to feel that. But I wanted to help people overcome that. And so from years ago, my God, this was, I want to say 18 years ago, I always had this vision of having my own makeover show. But here's the thing that I always wondered. What happens to those people? Like, what happens after you see the shows? Do they go back to the frumpy, person? Do they get sad again? Well, I'm really confident in saying, because when I work with people, it sticks. And the sticking power of the makeover, as long as you do the work and you're willing to do the work, your life will never go back to how it was. I can guarantee that. And so I wanted to find a victim. I'm calling her a victim. Sandy, I love you. She actually saw one of my posts on social media, and I said, I'm looking for a volunteer who will come and do a live makeover with me. And she raised her hand and she said, me. And what was so funny is she looked really familiar to me, and I didn't recognize her. And it wasn't until we got in contact, she reminded me that we actually met at a podcast summit. And she does a little bit of media, and she's actually, she makes balloons. Like, she's a super cool lady. Wait till you meet her. But once I was reminded of her, I was like, oh my God, we're doing it. So as we were talking, we were trying to figure out how we would do this. And I decided, after listening to her, that we would do something kind of special and do a little pre-shopping before we did the makeover. So the makeover is actually going to happen next week, so stay tuned for that. And I recorded a little clip of just an interview with her. And just to give you a little context, she is in her 50s. She is divorced, and she just hasn't put herself out there. And the funny thing is she was coming to me saying, where are all the good men? I just don't see them. And I said, yeah, I believe you that you don't see them. So let's fix that, because here's the thing. If you're not seeing it, something needs to happen, because I'm gonna tell you right now, men are everywhere. Men, women are everywhere. They're everywhere. They're at the grocery store. They're crawling on this earth. But unless you change your perspective, change your mindset, and change your approach, you might not see it. And that is really what I kind of uncovered with her as we were talking. Now, here was the important thing about her, is that she has some body image issues and not feeling really sexy or confident in her body. And she is realizing that this is part of the roadblock that is holding her back. She wasn't leading with that. At first it was like, where are the men? But as we started talking, she realized that she had to really love herself and in the way that she is, in her body, in the mirror, and all of that. So I want to show you our interview that we just did to give you a little context and let you know where we are going to take her.
On a scale yesterday for the first time in many, many, many months, and I know why my clothes aren't fitting.
Oh, yeah. Well, tell me more about just like your kind of ups and downs, because you had told me that you have fluctuated with your weight, and that's why, like, with your clothes, sometimes they fit, they don't. Like, tell me your journey with it.
Yeah, so I was a Barbie doll up until I got married, basically, and I gained 100 pounds in my first pregnancy. My oldest is now 20, he's about to be 22, so 23 years ago, I guess. I don't know if I had just done so many crazy diets before getting pregnant that my body was like, oh my God, she's gonna starve us, let's hold everything, or what. But yeah, I mean, I gained 100 pounds. The baby was only like 7 pounds 9 ounces, so it was all me, not him. And I've proceeded over the past 22 years to gain and lose several supermodels.
Out and how you put yourself out there, and
It really does.
yeah, I wondered, like, when you look in the mirror, what do you see now?
So, I mean, here's the thing, like, in my mind's eye, I still look like I did 25 years ago, right? I mean, I picture myself as the Barbie that I was. And so when I see pictures of myself or when I look in the mirror, it's like, wait a second, who is that? They're like skinny. and they're like telling me that their husband cheated on them or their boyfriend cheated or they're gay or whatever, and literally, the first thing that goes through my head, I don't always say it, I try not to, but it is the first thing that goes through my head, but you're skinny. Like, what do you mean he cheated on you? You're skinny, you're beautiful. Like, what? Right? Like, so there's that. I mean, I really have, I know, a messed up relationship with this.
Yeah.
And then the same thing. I mean, if I'm looking at like the dating sites, or even if I'm like at a singles event or something like that, and like I said, 50-year-old blondes to the one eligible guy, right? And there's that tape in my head that goes, oh, but he wouldn't be interested in me unless I lost weight. Like the value of me as a person
Yeah.
is directly inversely correlated to my weight, right?
Yeah.
And
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, is how those limiting beliefs and kind of the gremlins that are going on in your head affect you when you're going on a date or when you're trying to flirt or out and about. Like what happens?
well, okay, so I mean, I really haven't been on many dates since my divorce 8 years ago. I had one little fling right before the pandemic, which was mostly just to see if I remembered how to ride a bicycle.
Right? That it still works.
Thank God it does.
Just for the record. Yeah. It still
Right, yeah. And so I don't know. I can't tell you like what happens when I go on a date, but I know when I go place, like, 25 years ago. Okay, obviously I was 25, right? Who's not adorable when they're 25, right? 25 years ago, if I walked into a bar, not every head in the room would turn and look at me, but I would get a fair amount of attention from the guys, right? And the girls. Again, I didn't realize that I was getting this attention because I was cute, right? I just thought, oh, people are nice, until they weren't.
Mm.
Now nobody looks at me. And even when I'm like in a group or whatever, I mean, people are friendly to me. They respond positively to me. I don't think that they dislike me, but I also don't feel like somebody was flirting with me. Like, I got hit on, I don't know, several months ago. I don't even remember when it was, in a parking lot, right? And the guy's like, oh, like, I just wanted to know if I could, I think you're really cute. I want to know if I could have your number. And you want to know what I said? Like, you won't believe what came out of my mouth. What do you think I said?
Tell us.
I said, really?
Really? You said
Really?
really? You said really?
I said, really? Yeah. Like, that was what came out of my mouth. Like, really? Like, really? You want my number? Like I could not. So, and I mean, like, yeah. So, and I don't even know at this point, like, how to signal a guy that I might be open to him talking to me or looking at me like a woman. Like, and I'm so confused at this point too. Like, okay, the rules. Well, I'm a girl. I'm not supposed to approach, but if I don't approach, but then on the other hand, I'm like too much in my masculine, and I'm making things happen instead of receiving, and you know. So,
So there's a
yeah,
lot of headspace
confused.
with it too. And with your kind of limiting beliefs too, I wondered, are you aware of your body language as you're out and about?
Probably not. I'm ADHD.
Sexy?
I used to be.
Hmm.
I used to be. I mean, well, obviously my marriage wasn't good, or I wouldn't be divorced. But that was definitely a piece of me that really got lost
Mm.
in the marriage and the subsequent divorce and everything. And even
You'll put other people first before yourself,
I
kind of.
will, yeah, yeah. And oftentimes even that they don't even know it, right? It's not even just like somebody asked, but it's like, like, oh, I'll give you a stupid example. Like today, there was like a meetup, a lunch meetup, right? And it was cash only, and there was a couple of people that didn't have cash, and I said, oh, I'll cover it, right? They didn't ask, like, I said, oh, I'll cover it, like, you can just Zelle me or Venmo me or whatever, right? Maybe I'll get the money, maybe I won't, I don't know. I mean, it wasn't that expensive of a meal, but it was like out of my mouth before I even thought about it, right? There was 9 people there. Somebody else could have said it, right? I didn't have to be the one to volunteer, but I always am.
And that is the theme that I really want to work with you on. And I'm so excited to be doing this with you, Sandy.
Oh, me too.
It's so clear to me that it's your time now. It's like it's time for you to get a little selfish, and I'm giving you permission to do that. Because here's the thing, and all the things that you're saying is that it's not until you look in the mirror and say, yeah, I got it going on, I'm hot, I'm sexy, and I deserve it, is when other men are going to see that too.
Mm.
And so it's not about the man, it's not about where to go, it's about you. And when you love you, that's when men will too.
I mean, I get that, and I do love me, and I've been like working on myself for 8 friggin' years. Like, when am I done?
So that's Sandy. That is Sandy. Isn't she amazing? And she's so beautiful. You know, we were just talking here in the studios, we're watching it, and it's like, I can't believe she's the age that she is. She looks amazing. And I am so excited to get her to really see her as that Barbie she keeps referring to. And one of the things that she keeps getting stuck on, and this was a theme throughout our whole session together, is she keeps going back to her old self. It's like, well, when? And I said, what about now? Like, who are you now? You're this hot woman and you know who you are. That's super sexy, by the way. And so I am super excited to do this. Now, I'm gonna show you some before pictures. And this is what's going on in her wardrobe, y'all. So I had her create a virtual closet, and I do these virtual makeover sessions. And so anyone who's interested in that, definitely contact me, because that's fun. We can do it anywhere. You don't have to come to LA and shop. We can do this all over Zoom. We created a virtual closet. I had her upload some pictures of things that were in her closet. And there was a pattern with her patterns. So can we show the other pictures here? So she has this dress, and then she had that dress, and and as you can see in the background, she had many dresses like this, a lot of patterns. Now next week, I'm going to go over why patterns is a big problem. And so that was the first thing we needed to get rid of. And then I asked her to upload a casual shot, and we can show her casual shot. This is her in her casual. Because by the way, you don't have to wear a dress to be seen as sexy. Like, you can be in casual wear, both men and women can be in casual wear. It's just, are you intentional about it? Do things fit you? Or are they really baggy and you're just kind of throwing things on? Now, the interesting thing, what she told me about this, is that she said every time she wore that top, people would be really nice to her. I said, I'm not surprised. Guess what color it is? Remember my last episode? It's red, and she's blonde. Of course, people are being really nice to her. The psychology of red is insane, that people are attracted to people in red. It's just true. But while this outfit isn't horrible, we can do better. And so I have a surprise next week where you're gonna see segments of us shopping together virtually in the virtual makeover session. She is going to be here live in the studio, and we are going to make her over from top to bottom, and I cannot wait for you all to see her. So if you are loving the show, please go to datingirl.tv, subscribe, keep on following me, contact me. If you want to be a part of the show, definitely let me know. You can find my workshops, my style guides, all on that URL. Go to styleguide.tv if you want to pick up that guide. And if you want to know more about me, go to kimmyseltzer.com. Until next week, have an amazing time. And remember, get out there in RL, real life. See you next week.